Texas authorities have just issued an Amber Alert for 12-year-old Jonathon-Foster under Texas.
Jonathon-Foster was only 12 years old at the time of this case. From ages 6 to 11, Jonathan had lived with his aunt and grandmother. His mother, Angela, had struggled with motherhood, so her family stepped in to help. Jonathan's wish for that year was to be able to spend time with his mother over Christmas. About a month before, Angela had left her ex, David, so she and Jonathan moved in with her friend Sharon. Jonathan was described as a happy and good kid. He always had a smile on his face and loved to help people. On December 24, 2010, Angela had to work her cashier job at a local food mart. Before she left, she told Jonathan not to open the door to anyone. Sharon had also went to work that day. Around 2 p.m., a phone call came in at Angela's work. Angela's coworker had said that it was busy, so Angela couldn't talk at the moment. However, he notified Angela that there was an emergency at her house. Angela left work and raced home. Angela had tried to call Jonathan on her drive back home. Jonathan didn't answer, but a mysterious woman did. The woman could be heard asking Jonathan if Angela was his mother. Jonathan said yes, and then the woman told Angela that she was a bad mother. The line then went dead. When Angela arrived at the house, Jonathan was gone. She tried to contact her ex, David, but he believed Jonathan was just playing a prank. Angela called the police almost immediately to report Jonathan missing. The police arrived at Sharon's house and learned about the strange woman's voice on the phone. Angela gave the police a description of Jonathan and of what he had been wearing that day. Before we continue learning more about this case, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. And now let's get back to the story. On December 27th, Jonathan's grandmother gave them a potential lead. She said that there had been a previous incident with Richard Foster, Jonathan's biological dad. She explained that Richard had taken Jonathan before but wasn't charged with anything. The police at the time hadn't found anything wrong with him taking his son. Texas EcuSearch also assisted with the case and told the police to interview the family separately. An Amber Alert was put out for Jonathan. At the police station, Angela was asked about her relationship with David. Angela explained that she believed David had slapped Jonathan, which resulted in their breakup. David denied it. He said that he had knocked Jonathan's hat off his head after a neighbor girl said Jonathan had hurt her finger. David called Jonathan a crybaby and said he probably told Angela that he had smacked him. Throughout David's interview, his story was inconsistent. He claimed that he had gone to Sharon's to check on Jonathan and then went to CVS. He claimed CVS was closed, but admitted that he had actually went to have a beer at a bar called Caddy Corner. He said he didn't want to admit that he had been drinking. The police checked the surveillance cameras from Caddy Corner. David was seen at the bar for several hours during the time that the phone call had come in from Sharon's house. David was eventually cleared as a suspect. Jonathan's birth father, Richard, was eventually tracked down by the FBI about 184 miles away from Houston. Richard hadn't been in Houston at the time and was also cleared as a suspect. The police interviewed Angela's friend, Sharon Enamorado. Sharon was asked about her movements on December 24th. Sharon said she had been at work and ran into her old friend Mona-Nelson. Sharon had been planning to have a party at her house that night and invited Mona. Sharon said she had to finish up work but would meet Mona at her house. Sharon also said that a young boy was at the house and probably wouldn't answer the door. Sharon told Mona to tell Jonathan that his Aunt Sharon said it was okay to let her in. On December 28th, the police received a phone call that charred remains had been found in an industrial area. The remains were found in a concrete culvert and had burnt beyond recognition. There was twine found at the scene. The twine had been used to bind the hands and ankles. The markings on the remains suggested that a torch had been used. There was also a deep bruise on the chest, most likely from a fist. The medical examiner couldn't determine a cause of death. Through dental records, the remains were politely identified as being those of Jonathon-Foster. There was a warehouse about 40 to 50 yards from the culvert where Jonathon was found. The police were able to find surveillance cameras on the side of the building. On December 24th, around 6:06 p.m., a silver truck pulled up on the side of the road near the culvert. A figure could be seen climbing into the bed of the truck. A container-like object, later identified as a trash can, was pulled out of the truck. The figure was also seen ducking down behind the truck when another car passed by. The police went to speak to Mona-Nelson at her home. Mona had a silver truck in her driveway. She was asked if she would be willing to talk to the police at the station. She agreed and spoke to the police in the early morning hours of December 29th. Mona revealed to the police that she was a welder. The police knew that Jonathon had most likely been burnt with a torch. Mona confirmed that she, as a welder, used a cutting torch and had acetylene bottles in her dining room. Mona was asked about her visit to Sharon's house. Mona said that she arrived around 12:30 in the afternoon but left because Sharon wasn't there. She said she then drank with her friend Frank from about 2 to 6 p.m. This really stuck out the police because it's believed that Jonathon's abduction to his murder happened between 2 to 6 p.m. The police tracked down Frank, but he revealed that Mona had left his house at 2 p.m. after drinking all day. Mona was confronted by the police while her house was searched by other detectives. The torch was found right where she said it would be. The police also found burnt carpet and Jonathon's sweatshirt in her trash can. There was similar twine found and leaves that had been found on Jonathon's body. The leaves were important because those types of leaves and trees didn't grow in the area where Jonathon was found. The trees were only found about 6 miles away in the area where Mona lived. Mona refused to cooperate. After being confronted about the evidence at her house, she claimed that she feeling sick and puking up blood. Mona was told that an ambulance was on the way for her, but she was arrested and charged with capital murder. She showed no emotion. On August 12, 2013, Mona went on trial. The motive presented was that Mona had been drinking all day and became angry that Jonathon wouldn't let her into the house. It's believed she attacked Jonathon and panicked. She then took Jonathon to her house, wrapped him in carpet and burnt his body. She then put him in the trash can and drove him out to the culvert. Mona claimed that she was helping David dispose of the trash can because he had paid her to do so. However, the police had cleared David as he had been at the bar at the time of the abduction and murder. Mona-Nelson was found guilty and convicted of capital murder. She was sentenced to life in prison. Mona literally blamed Jonathon, who was 12, for not letting her into the house. Angela told Jonathon not to let anyone into the house, and he was listening to his mom's directions. Mona, fueled by alcohol, attacked a child. I hope she's having a miserable time in prison and rots in there forever. Jonathon was finally getting his wish to live with his mom, and that was all taken from him and from his family.